I'm a retired bus mechanic and dad, stuck at the church side door with a key that won't turn. The promised lobby video still isn't rolling, and the whispering cuts. The "we got married yesterday" voice buzzes my phone. Tick tock. We already got married yesterday. Only special people were invited. The line arrived clean, like a bus door's ceiling. I let the phone sit on speaker and stared at the pressed tux I'd hung the night before. The jacket looked ready for a man who'd been expected. "Kayla," I said, voice steady, "when's the big day for a father to show up?" "It was yesterday," she said. "Please don't make this about you." "It's about honesty," I swallowed. "You could have told me." A smirk in her breath. "We kept it intimate." "Thanks for the clarity, Kayla." I tapped the call off and set the phone face down. The apartment went very quiet, just the hum of the fridge and the clock that never rushed for anyone. I laid a cream envelope on the counter, slid a card in, and counted out $500. I'd saved it for their start. It could still start something, just not what I planned. I wrote on the flap in block letters, "For David, 3:42 p.m. Not a flourish, a label. In the hallway, the mailboxes rattled as someone tugged at a stuck slot. Mrs. Larkin, third floor, wrestled her water bill out. She looked up and saw the envelope in my hand. "Big occasion?" she asked, polite as a church usher. "Big lesson," I said. "You okay, Hank?" "I will be," I said. "Just need to hand this to my son." She studied my face, then the card. "You walk calm. People notice that. I'm trying to keep it that way." She tucked the bill into her bag and touched my elbow once. Paper rasped in the boxes like a deck being squared. "You'll talk soon," she said, and headed for the stairs. Back inside, I turned the envelope under the lamp. The light made the fibers show, tiny roads, all heading one direction. I set the tux back in its plastic, not because I'd wear it, but because letting it wrinkle felt like giving up twice. I thumbed a message to David. "Proud of you. When can I see you both?" The 3 dots never arrived. I poured coffee I didn't want and let it cool. I've fixed things my whole life. Engines, schedules, men who forgot to tighten what mattered. A bus doesn't care about feelings. It cares about torque and timing. Families pretend to be different. They aren't. I put the envelope in my jacket pocket. It felt heavier than money. It felt like a promise to myself. The phone lit with a new banner. Nothing from David. A sale at the bowling alley pro shop. The universe was tidy, if not helpful. I called back once. It rang out. I pictured his face like I used to when he fell asleep in the back seat after Little League. Open, unguarded. He'd learned to guard. Maybe I had too. "Kayla," I said to the empty kitchen, "you drew the circle small." My voice sounded like it belonged to someone patient. That was good. Patience is how you win when you're not invited. I opened the drawer where I keep a small ruled notebook, service records for a life. I entered today's date and the words, "Call, Kayla, special people." Not because I'm sentimental, because I like a clean log before I start work. I texted David again, a simpler line. "I have a card for you. I'll stop by tomorrow." I set the phone on the counter, screen up. Heart pulse. I ironed a tux for a door that never opened. The envelope sat beside it, cream against laminate, waiting to be one thing or the other, gift or record. I chose record. The screen dimmed itself, polite as a theater light before the show. My message stayed unread. Riverview keeps a bowl of green glass pebbles on the lobby desk, like calm can be arranged. I stepped in at 11:20, envelope in my jacket, tux at home like a good joke folded on a hanger. "Good morning," the guard said. Square shoulders, neat tie, ITO on the badge. "Morning," I said. "I'm here to drop a card for my son. David Porter, Unit 602. He glanced at the screen, then at a print laid by the keyboard. "Sir, you're listed on a no-drama notice." He slid the paper over. "Any disturbance becomes trespass." Drama? I kept my hands on the counter, flat. I planned to hand a card to my son and go. He looked sorry for me, which I didn't need. Name for the record? Hank Porter. He wrote it in the margin, then pressed the desk stamp. A dull thunk that sounded like a door closing. Time is 11:22, he said for the log. I'll initial here. He did, a tidy CI next to my name. I read the footer as if it were a bus schedule. CCTV auto-delete in 14 days. A policy line pretending to be small. I let my eyes memorize it. Can you buzz them? I asked. He tapped the intercom. Unit 602, visitor for you. Kayla's voice filled the grill, clean and thin. Who? Hank Porter. A beat. Respect our boundaries, she said. We're asking for space. I'll leave the card and go, I said. 2 minutes, David. Her laugh ghosted the speaker. Please do not loiter. You drew the circle around me, I said. I didn't move. Carl, he told me his name now, shifted his weight. Sir, I'm required to enforce the policy. Understood. I nodded at the paper. May I have a copy of this notice for my records? He looked toward the back office, then made a call I couldn't hear. I can print the policy page with your name and time as logged, he said. That's all I'm authorized to give. It will do. The printer coughed out a single sheet. He placed it at eye level between us, straight, like a mechanic laying down a gasket. No drama/trespass escalation across the top. My name in neat handwriting, the time, his initials. The stamp bled a little into the paper fibers. Proof has a way of soaking in. Thank you, I said. You can leave the card here, he offered. It's for my son, I said. I'll try him outside. I slipped the printed page into my jacket behind the envelope and underlined today's date on the flap with my thumb. Gift was becoming record. I took 2 steps back to give him his clean line of sight. Mr. Porter, he said softer, if you have questions, management can help during office hours. Do they release footage? Upon legal request only. I nodded. The bowl of glass pebbles caught a shaft of light and threw green across his knuckles. 2 residents crossed the lobby talking about parking. They cut the conversation as they reached the desk and pretended we were furniture. I pressed the intercom once more. David, I said, your father brought you a card. Static. Sir, Carl said, calm as a level. Please step from the entrance. Family tension exchange. David, 2 minutes. Please respect our boundaries. I'm at the desk. Do not loiter. You drew them around me. I breathed, counted to 5 and stepped away. No scene, just a note in my head. Desk stamp, initials, time, 14 days. Could you initial here too? I asked, tapping the lower corner where he'd already written the time. That it was you who handed it to me. He considered, then added the letters again. C.I. Appreciate it. I studied the lobby while my phone warmed in my palm. I took a single photo of the posted policy on the wall. Wide, no glare, to remember the wording. I didn't wave it around. I just recorded the shape of the rule in the place where it lived. Anything else I can do? Carl asked. You've done what you can, I said. The elevator dinged and the doors parted. A little theater curtain opening on nothing I wanted. A woman from the 7th stepped out, saw me, then looked away the way people do when a story is being told that they don't want to be in. I eased toward the glass doors. Sun on the river was bright in slices. I could see my reflection. Jacket straight, shoulders square, envelope riding at the heart like a small shield. Heart pulse. I'm a guest in the lobby of my own family. Carl cleared his throat. Have a good day, Mr. Porter. You too, Carl. Outside, I thumbed David's number. It rang and rang. Through the glass, I watched the elevator open again. A pair of legs, a bouquet, laughter, then nothing useful. The envelope stayed sealed. The elevator doors parted once more. No David. The neighbor from the 7th glanced my way and turned her head like a door closing. The lobby doors puffed a breath of conditioned air at my back as I stepped onto the sidewalk. River light cut the glass in long strips. I stayed to the right, clear of the entrance, envelope in my inside pocket, the printed notice warm against it. Sir? Carl said through the doors, palm up. Just not in the threshold. I'm not, I said, and put both hands in plain sight. I dialed David and watched the lobby reflection while it rang. Kayla texted first. Kayla, Please vacate the entrance. Me. I'm off the mat. I have a card for my son. Kayla. Respect our boundaries. Me. Boundaries don't have to erase family. Kayla. You're escalating. I looked at the brass strip on the floor and took a step backward anyway. A city bus hissed at the curb, and I felt the old clock in me count the beats between doors opening and closing. Everything okay? Mrs. Larkin from 304 slowed by the planter with her tote. I'm fine, ma'am. Just delivering congratulations. She looked from me to the intercom panel. You're calm, she said, like a note to herself. I'll be on my way. Thank you. I kept my eyes on the line where shadow met sun. My phone lit again. Me. David, 2 minutes? No reply. Kayla, do not loiter. I typed slower this time. M.E. I'll stop asking and start logging. Carl cracked the door just enough that the hinge didn't talk. Sir, I have to ask you to move along. I won't block your doorway, I said. I'll stand by the bike rack. That works, he gave a short nod. By the rack, a row of U-locks glinted like teeth. I opened my little ruled notebook and wrote the time, 11:45 a.m. Then I turned the printed policy over and penciled, Mrs. Larkin, Unit 304, present. I don't scribble, I print. Mechanics live by legibility. Heart pulse. I can't fix silence, I'll fix the record. I typed an email to management at Riverview with the subject, CCTV preservation request. The body was plain. Please preserve lobby camera footage from 11:15 to 12 today. I am requesting under policy. You may release upon legal request. I included my phone and address. I hit send and watched the status dot spin. 2 boys on scooters clattered past and made a game of hitting every seam in the sidewalk. The river breeze brought metal and sunshine into the same breath. Carl lifted his hand through the glass, 5 fingers, then a point at his watch, then a little shrug. I gave him a small salute to say I understood. No fight here, just time, which wasn't on my side if I let those 14 days run without asking. My phone buzzed in my palm. Not David. Auto reply. Your request will be reviewed within 72 hours. I didn't open the email. I didn't need to. The promise mattered. The formatting didn't. I wrote auto reply 72 hours in the notebook and circled it. The intercom crackled. Not Kayla this time. A laugh. A second laugh. The elevator chimed. I held my ground by the rack, a man at the edge of his own family's address. A reflection in the glass tilted, and for a second I thought I saw David's shoulders, same slope as mine. A delivery guy pushed through instead with flowers and a grin. I pressed one palm to the envelope just to feel it there. The paper thumped under my jacket like a small, steady engine. The tuxide iron stayed ironed in my mind for a second. Then I set that picture back on its shelf and returned to the present. Me. David, I'll be by the sidewalk 5 more minutes. No reply. Mrs. Larkin reappeared, tote now carrying a baguette like a baton. Need me to say I saw you calm if someone asks? She said low. If asked, yes. Thank you. I'll be home till 2, she walked on. Kayla sent one more line. Kayla, this is not healthy. I answered with the only thing that could be argued in daylight. Me. Asking for 2 minutes isn't unhealthy. Editing truth is. Carl opened the door the rest of the way. We're getting a little busy, he said, apologetic more than stern. I need the area clear. I'm done, I said, tucking the notebook away. Thank you for your courtesy. He nodded. I log calm too. Good to know. I stepped out of the splash of shade and into the bright. A bus brake squealed down the block. Needs adjustment, I thought automatically. Systems tell you how they're doing if you listen for the right sound. The phone stayed blank of David. I looked at the clock in the status bar and then, because I'm me, I took one slow breath and pictured the policy footer. CCTV auto-delete in 14 days. A rule is a timer written in ink. I walked to the corner and turned toward the river path. Behind me, the lobby swallowed another laugh. Ahead of me, water moved the way it always moves, on schedule, unbothered. At the bench, I sat long enough to compose a second email to management, short and polite. Following up to confirm receipt of my preservation request for lobby footage, 11:15 to 12 o'clock today. Thank you. I sent it and closed the mail app. The auto-reply banner sat in my notifications like a small stone. I left it there, untapped. A promise is loud enough without me repeating it. I stood, squared my shoulders, and patted the envelope once more. It wasn't a present anymore. It was the start of a file. The bank app remembered the habit my thumb didn't. Auto task. Rent sat green like a porch light. I tapped it dark. Kayla called before the confirmation chime finished. "You forgot our transfer," she said. "I stopped it," I said. "That's harmful. So is exclusion. You're punishing David. I'm setting a boundary. You can't just—" "I can." I did. I lifted the phone, framed the screen, and took a screenshot with the toggle grayed out and the timestamp in the top bar. I didn't gloat. I saved it to a folder labeled Records. "Kayla," I added, "I'll still be decent, but I won't be used." "You're unstable," she said. "I'm accurate." I slid the phone into my pocket and headed for Maple Street. The church office smelled like paper and lemon oil. Pastor Wright sat behind a desk that had seen more apologies than I ever would. "You look like a man who needs a chair," he said. "I need a line," I said. "A clean one. I stopped paying their rent." He didn't flinch. "Boundaries aren't cruelty." "They said I'm unstable," I said. "APS might call you. Then they'll hear the same thing I tell you," he said. "You show up. You track pantry funds to the dime. You call when you'll be late. I'll put it on the record if asked." "I appreciate that." He folded his hands. "You don't have to win their love. Just the facts." Back on the sidewalk, buses sighed at the light, air brakes feathering like tired lungs. I cut across to the depot gate. Marisol was finishing a clipboard count, pencil behind her ear. "You still reconcile petty cash like you invented arithmetic?" she asked. "Somebody has to," I said. "Rumor is you stopped paying for grown adults," she said. "News travels strangely fast." "You ever miss a receipt with me?" "No." "Then say so if anyone asks." She tapped the clipboard. "I'll pick up if it's a .gov number." By the time I got home, the knock came with knuckles that didn't hesitate. "Mr. Porter?" A woman held up her lanyard. "Dana Cho with Adult Protective Services." I opened the door. "Come in." She scanned the room like a mechanic checks a dashboard. One look could tell her if anything ran hot. "We received a report," she said. "Isolation, possible refusal of medical care, confusion around finances. My church sees me 3 days a week. I take my pills at 10 and 10, and my finances are deliberate. May I verify?" "You may." I set the envelope on the counter and took out the phone. "This morning I turned off an auto transfer. Here's the screenshot." I angled the display. The timestamp sat clear in the corner. I saved it. I can print if needed. She didn't reach for the phone, good practice, but she read it. "Thank you." I opened a cabinet and showed her the pillbox. Each lid clicked shut for the week. 10 and 10, I said. I set a reminder. Her eyes traced the little alarms on the stove clock and the phone dock. "And your community contact?" "Pastor Wright at Maple Street and Marisol Vega, TriMet Depot." I read off their numbers, then held my hands away from the page. "You can call. I won't coach them." She made 2 quick calls on speaker. Pastor's voice came warm. "Hank's steady. He logs pantry funds. He's on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday." Marisol kept it plainer. "He's exact with money. He doesn't miss." Dana nodded, neutral as a level. "Thank you," she told them, and ended the calls. She looked back at me. "I'm opening a case to review the report. Our standard response window is 10 days. "I'll note that." I did, in my little ruled notebook. APS, Dana Cho, 10-day window. Then I opened the calendar on my phone and dropped a square on the date 10 days out. The card appeared. APS response window. 10 days. Blue against a month that suddenly looked organized. "Mr. Porter," Dana said, "do you feel safe?" "I feel insulted," I said, "and careful." "That can be a useful pairing," she said. "If you receive threatening messages, keep them. If you need resources, I'll connect you. I need institutions to watch their hands," I said. "I'll keep mine visible." She left a card on the counter. I didn't fuss with the numbers on it. I just slid it under the envelope, which didn't look like a gift anymore. It looked like a folder that might open flat on a table. My phone vibrated. Kayla again. "You forgot to send the transfers," she wrote. "I stopped it," I replied. "I'll be respectful. I won't be responsible for your rent." "We have to live," she shot back. "So do I, with dignity. You'll regret this." "I don't regret asking to be invited to my son's wedding." Three dots blinked, paused, came back like a bad heartbeat. Heart pulse. My help stopped. My respect continues. Pastor texted next. "If a PS calls again, I'll repeat what I said. Stay steady." Marisol. "Got your back if they ask." I printed the screenshot once, in black and white, and slid it behind the envelope, paper against paper, edges square. No montage, no ceremony, just a record. The knock I half expected didn't come. Instead, the phone buzzed one more time. Kayla again. "If you won't help, others will make decisions." I let the line sit where it belonged, in the folder, not in my head. Riverview's management office had glass that made you feel like you should whisper. I didn't. I stepped up with my notebook open. "Good morning," I said. "I'm requesting yesterday's lobby policy/incident page that lists my name and time." Tessa Ng glanced at the monitor, then me. "We don't usually provide incident copies to residents." "You can provide a policy page with my name and time as logged," I said. "Your guard told me." Carl Ito sat on a side stool, reading the log. He looked up. "I logged Mr. Porter, 11:22. Calm, brief." Tessa's mouth thinned. "All right." One page. The printer woke, coughed, and delivered a sheet. Tessa squared it on the counter and pressed the rubber stamp, a round seal that kissed the paper with that dull, final sound. She signed beneath her printed name. Carl leaned in and added CI next to the time. I read the header. "No drama/trespass escalation." My name, today's date, the time, clean, legible, institutional. "Thank you," I said. "Default delete is 14 days, Tessa added. "That's policy." "I heard," I said. My phone buzzed. "Kayla, stop harassing staff." "ME, collecting my records." "Kayla, you're unstable." "ME, stable enough to ask politely." Tessa watched my face like she could read the text in my eyelids. "Anything else?" "Yes, please initial the bottom corner that you handed me this copy." I slid the page back 1 inch. She hesitated, then put a small TN there, quick and neat. I lifted the paper and felt the weight change in my hand. Heart pulse. A signature weighs more than a shrug. Carl cleared his throat. "We still can't release footage without a subpoena," he said, like a seatbelt sign dinging before turbulence. "I understand," I said. "I'm collecting what I'm allowed today." I slid the page into the envelope folder, behind the transfer screenshot. On the spine, I wrote, "Riverview," in block letters. Kayla again. "You're making a scene." Me. "I'm making a record." Tessa turned her monitor so I couldn't see. "Sir, anything else we can help you with?" "One last thing," I said, keeping my tone even. "Confirm for me, CCTV retains for 14 days unless preserved. Your staff just reminded me." "That's correct," she said. 14 days is default." I nodded. I opened my calendar and tapped a square. A blue tile appeared. CCTV D12. I didn't show it to her. I just let the color sit on my screen like a nail set flush. "Copy machines in the lobby if you need one," Carl said. "I'm good." I tucked the page. "Thank you both." On my way out, I paused at the bulletin board and read the posted version of the same policy. Not because I needed to, but because I like to know when language matches itself. It did. At the branch library up the block, I fed the signed page through the flatbed, saved a scan to a thumb drive, emailed a copy to myself, and wrote the file name in my notebook. That was the whole montage. 1 page, 1 scan, no drama. Kayla pinged again while I crossed back toward the river. "You're harassing us." "ME, you drew the rule. I'm reading it." Back at the office window, Tessa called out in a voice trained to sound helpful. "Sir, You should also know we can't release footage without a subpoena. That's twice you said it, I said. I mean it kindly. I heard it kindly, I said. She watched me slide the folder into my jacket, where the envelope used to ride alone. Good day, Mr. Porter, Carl said. You too. I walked to the doors. The glass swung, the river light cut across the tile, and the page in my pocket lay flat, as if waiting for a different kind of table. Reminder, Tessa added, almost an afterthought. We can't release footage without a subpoena. I stopped, turned. Noted. The video was 13 seconds long and loud in the wrong places. Kayla had clipped me at the lobby counter, starting on the one sentence where my voice rose to crest the glass. The caption sat on top like police tape. Unstable senior yelling. I watched once with the sound off, then again with it on. Then I typed, steady, post the full minute. A heart emoji fluttered from a stranger. Another, get him help. I didn't answer them. I'm not arguing with a crowd that doesn't know my face. 6 years earlier, smells came up with memory. Burnt coffee, rubber dust, and axle grease. TriMet's break room was the color of toast. David sat there with a pay stub and eyes he couldn't look through. Just a bridge, Dad, he'd said, tapping the stub. I'll pay you back when hours pick up. Bridge, not a pier, I'd said. 3 months, then we reassess. He'd nodded so hard it was almost a bow. I'd written dates on a sticky and stuck it to his phone, because lines on paper get obeyed more often than promises in air. 3 months turned into habits. Habits like to live forever if you feed them. Back in the present, Marisol pinged me. Saw the clip. They cut you mid-breath. Want me to say something? Not yet, I wrote. If anyone calls, answer plain. At the church hallway, a cart of canned beans squeaked as a volunteer rolled it too fast. I reached to steady a tottering stack, muscle memory from 1,000 small saves. Deacon Silva met me at the door with both hands up like a referee. Hank, optics are rough right now, he said. Maybe take a break from pantry shifts until this guardianship matter clears. There is no guardianship, I said. There's a petition waiting for facts. Still, he said, glancing toward a couple of donors ferrying crates, for everyone's comfort. Comfort has been doing most of the talking lately, I said. He lowered his hands, not his point. Just a week or two. Marisol stepped to the threshold, eyes on the floor. I can run the ledger, she said. You taught me clean entries. That's not the issue, the deacon said. He wasn't wrong. He just wasn't right enough. I felt the air from the hallway vent, cool against my wrists, and realized I'd braced like a man under a lift. I nodded once. I'll step back, I said. Not because the clip is true, because the church doesn't need a comments section. He looked relieved, which annoyed me more than if he'd looked smug. In the empty office, I put my phone on the desk and opened the post again. I wrote the URL and the time it went live into my notebook. Square letters, no drama. Heart pulse. They cropped my patience and left the flinch. Kayla DM'd me while I logged. Stop harassing people. Post the full minute, I wrote. We're protecting our peace. Peace doesn't need a crop, I wrote back. This is why David is upset, she answered. You don't know when to stop. I stopped paying your rent, I wrote. I didn't stop being his father. 3 dots flashed, went dark. I called the building, asked for management, and then for counsel. When the line picked up, I said the same sentence I use at a parts counter. Clear words, one pass. I'm requesting the full minute of lobby footage surrounding 11:22 a.m. yesterday. Your posted policy shows a 14-day retention. I have a preservation email on file. A pause while keys clicked. Release requires legal request, the voice said. No surprise. No fight in it either. I understand. I'm putting you on notice that I'm asking, I said. Expect a formal request. Understood, the voice said. We'll respond to counsel. I hung up and slid an old transfer receipt behind the envelope folder's first tab. Just paper on paper. Not for the world. Just for me to remember the length of the bridge I'd built. The church calendar pinged my pocket as if it knew the moment to be useful. Next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Bored. I opened it and stared at the neat square. Timers are polite compared to people. Walking home, a pair of teens argued over a scooter. They solved it in 10 words and laughter. Lucky species, I thought, to live in small problems. At my kitchen table, I tried to draft a comment that wasn't for Kayla at all, but for David if he scrolled past. I stood still. I asked for 2 minutes. I didn't send it. He knows how to call me when he wants to. He also knows how not to. My phone vibrated again. Email from a general counsel address I recognize from the lobby sign. Auto reply. Your message has been received. Footage available upon legal request only. I left the reply unopened because I didn't need the full text to know what it said. I set the phone on top of the folder and let the wait be ordinary. The board's email square glowed like a small blue stop sign. Family tension exchange. Me, post the full minute. Kayla, stop harassing people. Me, you edited the context. Kayla, we're protecting our peace. Me, peace doesn't need a crop. I closed the notebook. Tomorrow I'd go collect the paper they'd allow. After that, I'd go get the paper they didn't want to hand me. Pastor Wright read the paragraph twice before he touched the pen. Does this sound like I'm preaching? He asked. It sounds like you're telling the truth, I said. He nodded and bent to the line. The pen made a quiet scratch on church letterhead, his name looping into the date. I didn't lean closer. I just watched the signature settle like a gasket seated right. Hank logs pantry funds, arrives as scheduled, clear and consistent, he read aloud. That's what I see. Thank you, I said. He slipped the paper across the desk. My hand didn't shake when I took it. Heart pulse. I'm not alone. My name still opens doors that matter. My phone buzzed. Kayla, your pastor won't risk his church for you. M.E. He risks it for truth. Kayla, see you in court. Pastor raised an eyebrow. Trouble? Noise, I said, and slid his letter into my envelope folder. On the spine, I wrote a new word in block letters. Witnesses. Anything else you need from me? He asked. Just your morning of patience, I said. I'll call if the court moves the time. He smiled. I'll be early. At the depot, Marisol met me in the little conference nook with the coffee machine that always brewed strong. She had a half-page already typed. I kept it plain, she said. Hank reconciled petty cash and parts receipts for 3 years. No discrepancies, precise entries. That's more generous than I deserve, I said. It's accurate, she said, and tapped the page. I'll sign it and fax to whatever number your court wants. You don't need to see my handwriting to know it's me. That works, I said. If anyone calls, be as blunt as you just were. I don't know any other way, she said, and gave me the ghost of a grin. On the walk home, the buses breathed at the curb and the river air tasted like metal and sun again. My phone flashed a Portland number I didn't recognize. This is Dana Cho with APS, she said when I answered. Circling back, I spoke with your pastor and Ms. Vega earlier, and I saw your routines. No immediate risk found at this time. Formal closure letter pending. Thank you for the call, I said. I'll note it. And Mr. Porter, she added, if anyone uses our name to pressure you, let me know. Our work is not a weapon. That's good to hear, I said. I'll keep my side neat. After we hung up, I opened my calendar. 3 small squares glowed on the month like taillights. CCTV D11, APS D9, board D6. I like seeing them together. Clocks keep messes honest. At my kitchen table, I smoothed Pastor's letter once and slid it into a clear sleeve before tucking it into the folder. The paper made that quiet plastic sigh, the sound of something preserved. I didn't add stickers or tabs beyond the word I'd written. It didn't need dressing. It needed to open flat. Kayla again. Your letters don't change reality. They record it, I wrote, and let that be the last line for the day. I dialed the probate clerk to make sure I had the right portal before I tried to file anything. Multnomah County Probate, a calm voice said. Hank Porter, I'm preparing to file in response to a petition I believe is coming, I said. I want to register for the court portal. Go to the site, she said, giving me the URL slowly. Create an account. If something is filed in your name, it will appear on your dashboard. If nothing is filed yet, it will be blank. That's honest, I said. Thank you. Have a good afternoon. I made the account, set a password I could remember without writing down. My mother's bowling league mixed with my first bus route, and logged in. The dashboard had the blank look of a room waiting on chairs. I searched guardianship dockets out of plain curiosity and mild dread. Names scrolled, petitioners, wards, case numbers. People I didn't know whose families had decided they couldn't steer their own lives anymore. The list updated with a blink. I searched my own name. Nothing. I backed out to the dashboard and put my phone on the table. The witnesses label stared up at me from the folder spine like a promise. The phone buzzed one more time. Message failed to deliver. I didn't need it to. Tomorrow I'd file my papers cleanly. Today, I wanted to see the quiet truth with my own eyes. The portal had guardianship dockets on it, just none with my name. Yet. I spent the mornings shaving rough edges off the packet. Not the words, those were already plain, but the way they sat together. I named files with dates instead of feelings, and slid checkboxes into my notebook where nerves wanted to go. At the church copy room, Pastor stood with his sleeves rolled. The machine hummed like a low hymn. 2 tidy stacks, he said, tapping the lid. 1 for the court. 1 for if something goes missing. I'm not adding more paper today, I said. Good, he said. Then just breathe near the copier. It makes people think you're productive. Sound strategy, I said, and we both smiled. Heart pulse. If they won't give me warmth, I'll take clarity. By noon, I was at the planter outside Riverview. The glass doors sighed open and shut, a metronome of other people's lives. Carl stepped out, hands empty, eyes taking a minute. Lunch? I asked. 15, he said. I'm not asking for anything you can't give, I said. Just this. If anyone asks, how did I stand here the other day? He looked at the threshold, not me, like he was playing back tape in his head. Calm, he said. Brief. If asked, I'll say what I saw. That's all I need. A bus sighed at the curb and the doors fanned. The river breeze slid through the gap before the glass took it back. Kayla's text flashed before his break ended. Stalking staff now? Collecting truth, I wrote, my thumb steady. Carl nodded at the lobby. Gotta go. Thanks for being simple, I said. Only kind I know, he said, and the door welcomed him in with a soft whoosh. I took the bench across from the entrance where the sun could find me, but the cameras wouldn't have to. The phone's calendar tile blinked blue. CCTVD-10. 10 isn't a lot when people drag their feet for sport. Pastor texted a photo, the conference table laid out with bottled water and a legal pad, like a stage waiting on actors. Bring your folder, not your temper, he wrote. Temper's on a leash, I answered. Folder has the bark. I called Marisol to confirm her yes hadn't been a courtesy she planned to dodge. I'm in, she said. Make them ask me direct questions. I like yes-no days. Friday next is the day that wants us, I said. 9 a.m. Then I'll be early, she said, and hung up like a person who meant it. The lobby doors breathed again. A couple came out laughing. A potted palm tried and failed to look tropical. And I thought about the way a bus schedule doesn't apologize for being posted. It just is. My inbox chimed. New mail. General Counsel. I didn't have to open it to know the cadence. Auto reply. Release requires subpoena. Of course it did. I let the banner sit. The words were the same music as before, just a different verse. Family tension exchange. Text. Kayla. Stalking staff now? Me. Collecting truth. Kayla. This obsession proves our point. Me. Facts don't obsess. People do. I rubber banded the envelope folder into 2 stacks on my lap, court and personal, and wrote the labels on sticky tabs so I wouldn't have to think in the morning. The folder sat warm from the sun. Warm's not the same as welcome, but it helps your hands. I watched the glass once more, then stood. I'd taken what the day had on offer, counsel, calm, and one human ready to tell the truth. Tomorrow would be for stamps again. The phone buzzed in my pocket, the mail banner still visible. I didn't tap it. The message was a locked door with a polite sign. I already knew how to get a key. Marisol put me on speaker. Alma's here, she said. She brought a tripod and a brain. Alma laughed. We'll do this clean, Mr. Porter. One take, slow. Device time in frame. Before we start, I said, give me 1 minute. I called the probate clerk. Multnomah Probate, a calm voice answered. Hank Porter, exhibits tomorrow. Do you prefer labels A through F, 1 line each? That's correct, she said. Keep descriptions short. Thank you, I said, and clicked my pen once. The fridge hummed its tired hymn behind me. I added a blue square on my phone. Self-imposed filing. Tuesday, 12 p.m. Then I tapped another. CCTV D-9. Clocks keep messes honest. Alma set my phone on a little stand and angled a lamp. We'll show your lock screen next to her profile, then open the story so the device time sits in the top bar. I'll narrate the steps so I can attest to them later. I like plain steps, I said. Machines and courts both listen better that way. We lined up the shot. My kitchen table, a legal pad, the envelope folder with a new sticky labeled digital. Alma put her finger on the record button. Ready? Ready. She started the screen record. My lock screen lit with 7:02 p.m. Alma tilted so the glare slid off like water. She opened Kayla's profile, tapped the circle, and the wedding story filled the screen. Champagne, 10 faces, the caption I already knew by heart. Now we hold 3 seconds on this frame, Alma murmured. Device time visible, profile visible. We held. I didn't breathe loud. The toast froze at a smile that had never needed me. Save, Alma said. She stopped the record, took 2 stills that captured the story with the device time in the corner, and named the file out loud. 2024-05-_IG story _still 1 device time. Do it again, I said, because I sleep well when there are 2. She did. The second still caught the same moment with the seconds ticked 1 step over. She airdropped both to my phone, then to my laptop. Redundancy helps, she said. Redundancy loves you back. I sent Kayla a DM anyway. Post the full clip. The typing dots appeared, then vanished. A minute later, blocked. Then I'll bring the clock, I wrote, and felt my mouth flatten into something like a smile that wasn't joy. Heart pulse, time, not opinion, will speak for me. Alma printed 1 still in glossy color on my old inkjet till it sputtered into a decent rectangle. She laid it on the table with a fingertip at the device time visible in the corner. This is the only piece we put on paper today, she said. You'll keep the rest digital until court. Understood. I slid the print under the digital tab of the envelope folder, careful not to bend a corner. Do I owe you for your time? I asked. You can pay me by letting me testify if they try to call this hearsay, she said. I like explaining things to people who pretend not to understand. Marisol called from the sink. Sister loves a process. My phone buzzed with a new banner. Kayla changed her privacy settings. I tapped once and saw her account flip private like a shade pulled down. The comments under the story winked out as if the room had been emptied. Alma shrugged. Doesn't matter. We already have the time. I nodded and opened my calendar one more time to stare at the square that said, Tuesday, 12 p.m., filing. I like seeing a plan where anyone can see it, even if anyone is just me. Family tension exchange. DM. Me, post the full clip. Kayla, blocked. Me, then I'll bring the clock. Kayla, you're fixated. Me, I'm focused. Alma gathered the tripod. You want me to send you the screen record too? Send it, I said. I'll keep it off paper until I need it. She airdropped again. The file slid in with its name speaking for itself. I wrote the name down in my ruled book because ink has a way of quieting the mind. We stood for a second around the table like it was a workbench. The still looked like proof, even before anyone said the word. I breathed, not deep, just steady. Good capture, Alma said. Call me if anyone pretends they don't see the time. I will, I said. She left with her tripod under her arm. Marisol took the mugs to the sink. I sat and watched the digital tab peek from the folder like a new tooth. The phone chimed one more time. Account is private. Fine. A locked door is still a door. If you note the hinges, it opens. I turned the print sideways, studied the numbers one last time, then slid it all the way into the tab. The room exhaled. Outside, a bus sighed, right on schedule. The probate portal looked like every government site I've ever loved. Plain boxes, a progress bar that didn't brag. I fed it the names and dates without sighing. Exhibit A through F, one line each, no adjectives. When the upload wheel finished its slow circle, I printed the confirmation and put the laptop to sleep like a dog that had done its job. At the courthouse window, the clerk wore a cardigan that could calm a jury. "Filing pro se?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." I slid the folder forward. Across the face, I'd written exhibits in thick pen, so even a nervous hand would find the right pocket. She counted softly as she flipped. A, B, C, her finger paused. D is the device time still? Yes, one print. The rest stays digital until the hearing. Good. She squared the stack, aligned the corners, and pressed the stamp. The seal thumped into paper and left its round truth behind. Heart pulse. My hands shake less when the papers click. "What are you seeking today?" she asked. "Notice of appearance in exhibits in anticipation of responding to a petition," I said. "If one appears." "If one appears," she echoed, not unkind. "You'll get a docket entry and a hearing assignment when the judge reviews. Likely within the hour." "Thank you." My phone vibrated. "Kayla, you're wasting the court's time." "Me. The court keeps time." "Kayla, everyone sees you unraveling." "Me. They say a lot. The stamp says enough." The clerk slid the docket/exhibit receipt under the glass. I read the line in the center. "Hearing, next Friday, 9 a.m. The same round seal kissed the corner, ink a shade darker where it pooled. "Anything else I should know?" I asked. "If opposing files supplemental materials, they'll serve you," she said. "Check the portal this afternoon and bring originals to court." "I plan to bring only what I need," I said. Outside the window, the elevator pinged, and a runner in a blue windbreaker arrived with an envelope. "Delivery for Porter," he said, not caring who I was. "Porter," the clerk called, and I stepped back to the counter. The runner slid the envelope toward me, already talking to the next errand on his list. The label read, "Supplemental, edited clip." The flap had the sticky still pristine, the kind of temptation that makes men ruin their own discipline. "Do you want to open that here?" the clerk asked. "In court," I said, and tucked it into my jacket. It hit the exhibit's letters like a dull drum. The phone buzzed again. APS, Dana Cho. "Mr. Porter? Quick update. Based on interviews and observation, we're noting no immediate risk pending the formal letter." "Thank you," I said. "I'll make a note. I'll be reachable if counsel needs me for process questions," she added. "That helps." I walked to a bench and set the receipt on my knee where the sun could find it. The ink looked settled. I took out my phone and tapped a square on my calendar. CCTVD-7. 7 days is both a week and nothing at all. Kayla again. "You think a stamp proves sanity? It proves schedule," I wrote. "Sanity proves itself." A man in a suit paused by the bench, eyed the seal like it owed him alimony, and moved on. I put the receipt back in the folder's court stack and closed the flap like I was closing a hood after a clean tune-up. "Mr. Porter?" The clerk had leaned forward, a courtesy most people keep. "Portal will show the entry now." On my phone, the docket refreshed with an honest blink. The new line read, "Hearing, next Friday, 9 a.m., courtroom 4B. I let my eyes sit on the numbers until the room quieted inside me. Family tension exchange. Text. "Kayla, you're wasting everyone's time." Me, "The court keeps time." Kayla, "We'll bring proof you're unstable." Me, "Bring what you want. I'll bring the record." A different runner hustled by with a cart full of accordion files that looked like tired soldiers. I stood, slid the unopened supplemental envelope deeper into my inner pocket, and patted the folder once. Habit, not luck. The courthouse door sighed like the lobby at Riverview. Systems rhyme when you've worked around them long enough. Across the way, a coffee kiosk banged metal on metal. The sound made me think of wrenches, and I felt steadier. I called Pastor. "We're on the calendar," I said. "9 a.m.?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "I'll be there at 8:30 with a pen that doesn't skip," he said. "Marisol will beat you by 5 minutes," I said. "A good race to lose," he said, and chuckled. I ended the call and took one more look at the receipt. If Kayla needed an audience, she'd find it. I needed a table and a clock. The court had both. On the sidewalk, my phone vibrated with a last note from the portal. "Service confirmed," a generic phrase that means everyone has their papers and nowhere to hide. I folded the receipt once along the crease the clerk had already started. And then I did the most useful thing a man in my position could do. Nothing dramatic. I walked slow, kept the envelope sealed, and let the stamp dry. The envelope's edge pressed light against my ribs when I breathed. It rode there like a small, arrogant bird. I didn't feed it. I didn't open it. I just carried it home, unopened. "Keep it narrow," the probate clerk said, pen poised. "Time window, location, scope." "Lobby only," I said. 11:15 to 12 p.m. yesterday, one stationary camera. She nodded, wrote, read it back, then slid the form closer. "This language will do." A senior clerk passing in the hallway stopped, eyeballed the line, and tipped her head toward a side counter. "Stand over there when we stamp," she said. "Less wobble in the imprint." "Thank you," I said. Heart pulse. Paper speaks calmly when I can't. The younger clerk squared the edges with her thumbs, set the form on the side counter, and pressed the stamp. The seal thumped. The ink spread in a perfect ring. "Service by hand?" she asked. "Yes." I took the subpoena duces tecum copy, the seal still breathing into the paper, and slid it into my folder behind the digital tab. The spine creaked like an old hinge that still worked. My phone showed 2 squares when I woke the screen. CCTV, due Thursday 3 p.m. And hearing next Friday, 9 a.m. 2 clocks, 1 fuse. On the walk to Riverview, Kayla called. "You'll lose," she said, skipping hello. "Not on facts," I said. "You think a piece of paper makes you right? It makes them timely," I said, and ended the call before my temper asked for more words than I had budgeted. At the management office, Tessa looked up from her monitor and then down at the envelope in my hand like it might speak. "Good afternoon," I said. "Service for counsel." "Will accept on behalf of management," she said, voice all carpet in conference room. She flagged Carl with a lift of her chin. He came around from the stool. I laid the original on the counter long enough for her eyes to find the scope. Lobby, 11:15 to 12 p.m. Then I handed her the service copy and kept my eyes on her hands, not her face. People lie with faces. Paper lies less. "Will produce per scope," she said. "Timeline?" I tapped my phone. "CCTV due Thursday 3 p.m. She didn't blink. "That's the policy window anyway." "Good," I said. "Then we're in agreement with your policy." Carl's voice was quiet. "Do you need anything else logged?" "Nothing beyond your ordinary course," I said. "If asked, tell the truth you saw." He gave a single nod, the way a man does when he's decided he isn't going to create more work for himself by lying. Tessa slid a simple acknowledgement across the counter for me to read, not sign. "Service acknowledged by Riverview Management at 2:47 p.m., it said. I kept my hands in my pockets and read it twice. "We'll upload to council," she said. "Thank you," I said, and stepped back so I wasn't a shadow on their glass. Family tension exchange. Phone. "Kayla, you'll lose." "Me, not on facts." "Kayla, we'll show the judge your obsession." "Me, the judge will see a timeline." Outside, the door sighed and gave me back the river air. I walked to the bench across the way and wrote a single line in my notebook. "Subpoena served, 2:47 p.m. Lobby cam 11:15 to 12. No flourish. Chain of custody lives in verbs. Served, produced, delivered." The sun found the metal letters on my folder and made exhibits look warmer than it ever would in a courtroom. I checked the squares again. CCTV due Thursday 3 p.m. Hearing next Friday 9 a.m. Pastor texted a one-liner. "Walk steady. Let the paper do the talking. That's the plan, I wrote back. By the time I got home, the stamp had dried into the subpoena copy like it belonged there. I slid it deeper behind digital and closed the folder. The hinge didn't complain this time. My phone buzzed. New email. Opposing counsel in the subject line. I opened it and read the single paragraph, clean and smug. Motion in limine to exclude social media hearsay, to be heard at start of session. I let the screen dim on its own. Motions make noise. Clocks keep time. Dana's voicemail landed like a level set on a workbench, straight, no wobble. Mr. Porter, this is Dana Cho with APS. Following up to confirm your case is closed at this time. No immediate risk found. I've sent the closure letter to your email. Call if you need me to clarify anything. I opened my laptop and there it was. Subject line plain. The PDF peeking with letterhead and today's date in the preview. I clicked it once, let the header fill the screen, read the first line to myself without chasing numbers down the page. I don't need every paragraph to hear what the first one already said. Heart pulse. Being measured and found steady beats any speech. The folder waited on the table, court stack on top. I printed the first page only and slid it under that stack. Date and header visible. The rest left sleeping behind the screen. In pencil, I added witnesses/AP/S on the tab and blew the dust from the tip, like I used to before marking a new belt. My phone buzzed. Kayla, AP/S isn't a court. ME, it's evidence of reality. Kayla, they're social workers, not judges. ME, courts like reality. The calendar card glowed when I tapped it. Hearing next Friday, 9 a.m. Tomorrow's square stared back too. CCTV due Thursday, 3 p.m. 2 timers, 1 record. I called the church to leave a courtesy note. Deacon Silva picked up. Hank, hello. Deacon, a heads up. APS closed my case. There's a letter on it. He took a breath I could hear. That's reassuring. It is, I said. Given the climate, he said carefully, I still think it's best you take a break from pantry shifts until the hearing is complete. It isn't your truth, I doubt. It's optics. People jump to conclusions. Optics don't cook a single meal, I said. I let the silence breathe once. I'll stay out of your doorway until the court speaks. Thank you, he said, softer now. We'll welcome you when the dust settles. It isn't dust, I said. It's smoke from a small fire someone set. I understand, he said, and I believed he wanted to. When we hung up, I set the printed APS letter at eye level on the table and read the header again. Just the header. The rest could argue with itself in a drawer if it wanted to. The header did the work. Marisol texted. Need me to swing by Friday early? Yes, I wrote. Half an hour gives us room to breathe. Pastor, I'll be there at 8:30. Want coffee? Black, I wrote. We'll earn the cream afterward. Kayla again. You're clinging to paperwork because you have no family. I looked at the envelope folder and felt nothing break. Me. Paper keeps family honest. She sent a single dot, then nothing at all. I took the unopened supplemental envelope from my jacket, weighed it in my palm, put it back where it belonged, quiet, not calling the shots. Then I tapped the calendar and added one more nudge. Alarm. 8:05 a.m., Friday. Walk steady. I called Dana, just once, to leave a thank you on her voicemail. I received the letter, I said. Thank you for being clear. At the sink, I rinsed a mug and listened to the apartment do its small work. Fridge hum, clock tick, paper settling. A bus side down on clay, right on time. Systems that run on schedules calm a man down. Family tension exchange. Text. Kayla, APS isn't a court. Me. It's evidence of reality. Kayla, they're social workers, not judges. Me. Courts like reality. I slid the printed page fully into court, just far enough that the letterhead plus date still showed when the folder was closed. No more paper today. Not another inch. I'd learned as a mechanic that over-tightening snaps the bolt you need most. The phone pinged once more. The hearing next Friday, 9 a.m. Card brightened as I set a second reminder, Thursday, 2:15 p.m. An hour and change before the CCTV due 3 p.m. mark. I pictured the clip loading, the little progress bar marching to the right, and my hand staying exactly where everyone could see it. I closed the laptop, laid my palm on the folder, and let the timers do their work. Tomorrow, I'd ask for what's mine by policy. Today, I'd leave the header in view and my voice at rest. Maple Street smells like coffee and cardboard when the pantry's running. I came at 2:20 p.m., folder under my arm. The vestibule vent breathed a cold draft across my wrists as I reached for the handle. "Hold up, Hank." Deacon Silva slid into the doorway with both palms out. "We've decided it's best if you don't come in today." "We who?" I asked. "The board." Nina, hair in a kerchief, hovered behind him with a roll of trash bags. "He's scheduled, Deke." "There are donors here," he said. "We can't have confusion." "I slice onions," I said. "Confusion doesn't cry." A couple in matching fleece glanced over their shoulders. Whisper. Another volunteer stacked cans loud to fill the air. "Please," the deacon said, "for optics." "Take a week." Kayla posted a cut clip, I said. "Optics started lying before I did." "Still," he said, keeping his voice pastoral, "we'll manage." Nina shifted, eyes on the floor. "He can work the back table." "Not today," the deacon said. I felt my jaw gear toward a speech, then let it idle. Heart pulse. They turned charity into a stage and me into the prop. My phone buzzed. "Kayla, church finally sees it." "Me, they'll see the record." "Kayla, the whole neighborhood's talking." "M.E. You need whispers, I have clocks." The deacon's hand stayed up like he was holding back tide. The cold draft crept under my cuffs. "Hank," he said, "we value you. We just don't value me visibly," I said. "Understood." Nina stepped forward till she could watch both of us. "I saw you here last week," she said to me, small but clear. "You were calm." "Thank you," I said, and meant it. A donor with a clipboard murmured, "He's the one from the video," like the words were a password. The deacon flinched. "I'll stand outside," I said. "I won't block your brand." "That's not fair," he said. "It's accurate," I said, and stepped back onto the mat. The door never fully closed. He just stood there filling it, a polite barrier. A cartwheel squealed behind him, like it needed oil. I wasn't allowed to fetch. My phone pinged again. Management@Riverview. I read the preview line and let my eyes stop before the number soup. Email referenced. Lobby footage retrieval requires IT. Earliest upload is tomorrow morning. Kayla's timing was theatrical. Kayla. Clock ticking? M.E. It is. Kayla. Shame clocks don't fix people. Me. They fix lies. Nina angled toward the deacon. If it's about donors, they can handle a man handing out onions. Decision stands, he said, softer now, but harder too. Then say it plain, I said. Say, you can't come in, Hank. He swallowed. You can't come in, Hank. I nodded like a man learning a route that won't change. Good. Words are better when they stop hiding. A woman in a quilted vest tried to slip past without catching my eye and failed. I'm sure it's for the best, she said to the air. Best is the truth, I said. The vent's cold breath found me again. I tightened my grip on the folder. It felt more like a shield than a file now, and a shield is only as good as the arm that holds it steady. Family tension exchange. Text. Kayla, church finally sees it. Me, they'll see the record. Kayla, the whole neighborhood's talking. Me, you need whispers. I have clocks. Nina stepped half into the vestibule light. I'll tell anyone asks that you stood outside and kept your voice right where it is. That's enough, I said. A man with a hand truck cleared his throat. "'Scuse," he said, and squeezed by like we were furniture. The deacon lowered his hands just a hair. Hank, next week we can revisit. Next week I'll be in court, I said. He blinked. Right, I said, and because I'm still me, I sidestepped so he didn't have to ask twice. Outside, I sat on the stone step and opened my phone. The blue cards glowed like two small beacons. CCTV due today 3 p.m. and court in 8 days. The management email sat below them. Polite as a stop sign you can't move. Upload tomorrow. Procedural drag right on schedule. I set a second alarm for 2:40 p.m. anyway. A nudge to make one more call I knew would get me nothing but a voicemail. Clocks don't care how you feel. That's their virtue. Nina pushed the door with her hip, hands full of potatoes. You want a coffee? She asked. I want fairness, I said. Coffee's a close second. She half smiled. I'll leave it on the bench. Thank you. Behind her, the deacon knelt to tape a flyer straight. He didn't look up. The door, courteous as ever, gave me a final little sigh as it began to ease shut. I watched it swing in slow, felt the draft fade, and looked down at the phone again. The cards glared up like truth you can't turn down. CCTV due today 3 p.m. and court in 8 days. Then the church door closed. The side door to Maple Street is where volunteers slip in when the foyer looks like a brochure. I came at 2:50 p.m., folder under my arm, key on my finger like a ring I didn't want. Nina cracked the door an inch. Deke's in the hall, she whispered. He says, I know what he says, I said. The key slid into the cylinder and stopped like pride in a tight throat. I turned. The lock refused with a dry scrape. Turned back. Tried again. The metal complained the same way. Don't force it, Nina said, eyes on the hinge. I'm not. Deacon Silva arrived with a peacekeeper's smile. Hank, please. Not today. It's my key, I said, softer than I felt. We changed the cylinder yesterday, he said. Safety measure, rotation. For onions, I said. For order, he said. Behind him, someone laughed at a joke I couldn't hear. A donor's cologne moved past like a parade that forgot its streets. My phone vibrated. The blue card glared. CCTV due today, 3 p.m. I checked the time. 2:56. I thumbed to the inbox. New subject line. From management at Riverview parked at the top. Polite as a doorstop. IT pulling footage. Earliest upload tomorrow a.m. I let the screen dim before numbers could tempt me to argue with them. Heart pulse. The lock refused me. The facts didn't. Please, Hank, the deacon said, palms up, all soft traffic cones. Give us room. You're not making room, I said. You're painting over what happened. It's temporary. So was the wedding, I said. He winced. Nina looked at my hand on the key and back to my face. I can tell folks you were calm, she said. That helps, I said, and meant it. Kayla chimed in like she'd been waiting on the doorstep of my nerves. Kayla. TikTok. M.E. I see it. Kayla. Shame time won't fix you. M.E. Locks don't change truth. The vent above the door sent a ribbon of cold along my wrist. I eased the key out, wiped it on my sleeve, and tried once more. The teeth bit and then skated uselessly. The keys fail has a sound every janitor knows. I pulled the key free and set it flat on my palm like a coin I was done spending. My phone rang. David. I stepped into the alley where the dumpsters keep their own counsel. Son, I said. Dad, please, he said before I could lay the ground. Just stop. Kayla's a wreck. The church is calling. People keep sending me messages. They send messages because someone edits truth, I said. I don't care about footage, he said, too loud, then softer. I care about us. So do I said. I'm doing this so there's an us that isn't borrowed from somebody's caption. Just drop it, he said. If you back off, we'll drop the guardianship thing. Okay? We'll tell our lawyer to forget it. You can't drop what you haven't filed, I said. And even if you could, you don't offer family as a coupon. He breathed like he'd run up the stairs. I don't want to fight you in court. Then don't, I said. Meet me with honesty instead. You're choosing strangers over me. I'm choosing facts, I said. You can stand in them with me anytime. Silence, then a dull click as the line left us alone. Family tension exchange. Call. David, just stop and we'll drop this. Me, you can't drop what you haven't filed. David, I don't want to fight you. Me, then meet me with honesty. I looked at my screen. 2:59. I called Riverview anyway, got IT voicemail, and left the cleanest sentence I had. This is Hank Porter confirming the CCTV due 3 p.m. today. Under subpoena, your email says tomorrow morning. I'm logging the miss at 3 p.m. and will note delivery time tomorrow. I wrote it in the ruled book. 3 p.m. Miss. Upload promise tomorrow a.m. Logged by phone. The church door opened a foot. Nina slid out a paper cup. Cream and sugar, she said. Black, I said. Habit, she said, embarrassed. I'll drink the sugar out of spite, I said, which made her grin. Deacon hovered behind her. Hank, we can talk Monday, he said. I'll make time. I have court Friday, I said. Then after, he said. Then after, I echoed, and pocketed the key so it wouldn't hold court by itself in my palm. A text from my bank pinged. Temporary verification on an outgoing payment I didn't recognize. Some security hair trigger since I'd turned off the transfer earlier in the week. I pressed report and moved on. Friction, not a crisis. I wasn't going to spend my last minute before 3 arguing with an algorithm. I checked the screen again. 3:01. The CCTV due card looked like a judge that didn't blink. Under it, hearing, next Friday, 9 a.m., sat polite as a pew. I knocked once on the side door. The deacon answered. Say it, I said. He nodded, steady now. Hank, you can't come in. Understood, I said, and backed away like a man leaving a lane he'd already paid for. On the sidewalk, gossip moved in small waves I could feel but not hear. The folder's edge frayed a little where it pressed my jacket. It felt like a shield again. Shields don't make you right. They give you time to be. Kayla's last line arrived as if she'd been listening to the air. Kayla, we'll see you judged. M.E., we will. I stood still long enough to let the second card pulse one more time in my hand. CCTV due today 3 p.m., now past due, and hearing next Friday 9 a.m. The alley's cool air edged away. The church door breathed once and eased back to close like it had been practicing all afternoon. The key didn't turn. I put it in my pocket and kept the phone up where I could see what still belonged to me. 2 clocks and a steady hand. Courtroom 4B ran on the same fuel as a depot. Signs, clocks, people who know where to stand. The brass placard by the door read 9 a.m. The clerk called the case. I set my envelope folder on the table and opened it flat so exhibits stared up like a clean hood. Opposing counsel stood first. Motion in limine, Your Honor. Exclude so-called social media hearsay. It's inflammatory and unreliable. The judge looked over glasses. Mr. Porter? 2 points, Your Honor, I said. First, the building produced CCTV under subpoena. That's the record. Second, the device time still is only to corroborate timing, not to prove words on the internet true. Opposing spread their hands. He just admitted he wants it in. I want a timeline, I said, not a rumor. The judge drummed a pen once. Motion denied. The court will rely on CCTV as primary. The still may be considered strictly for time correlation. She nodded to the clerk. Let's keep this narrow. Heart pulse. I don't need their warmth, just the room's oxygen and a fair clock. At counsel table, Kayla whispered, low enough to think it wouldn't carry. You did this. I kept my eyes front. You posted it. The clerk lifted a hand. We'll take the CCTV now. To the tech. Label on the screen, please. She glanced at the wall schedule. If we break, court resumes at 10 o'clock. Opposing counsel tried again. Objection to authenticity. Overruled, the judge said, already reading a 1-page declaration. Business record. Chain supplied. Play it. The screen woke with the lobby's wide view. Doors, desk, a bowl of green glass pebbles catching light. I watched myself step just off the mat, hands visible, posture square. Calm as a shape as much as a feeling. Freeze there, the judge said. Zoom. The frame pulled in. Over the desk, a lobby wall clock sat plain and round, the second hand sweeping across 11:22 like a metronome with no opinion. Resume, she said. The footage rolled. Carl slid the paper forward. I read it. He stamped it. No sound, just the rhythm of it. I stepped back to the bike rack. Mrs. Larkin paused, spoke, moved on. No flailing, no pounding, no scene. Just a man who'd been told 2 minutes was too much to ask. Opposing counsel shifted. He lingered. The judge didn't look over. He stood. On the next clip, the doors opened. Flowers, laughter. Not me. Then nothing. Then me walking away. The wall clock ticked, a small circle doing honest work. "Stop there," the judge said. "Thank you." Opposing tried a new angle. Even if he was calm, there's a pattern of instability. "Pastor Wright," the judge said. Pastor stood like a man in a suit he didn't buy for show. "Hank runs our pantry ledger," he said. 3 days a week, straight entries. If he says he'll be there at 9, he's there at 8:50. I've never seen confusion. "Cross?" the judge asked. Opposing flipped a page and then didn't. No questions. "Miss Vega." Marisol sat, hands flat. "He reconciled petty cash and parts receipts for us. No discrepancies. He's precise. He's dull in the best way." A couple of chuckles leaked and died when the judge lifted a brow. "A PS?" the judge said. Dana Cho rose from the second row. "Adult Protective Services closed its review," she said. "No immediate risk. If our name was used to pressure Mr. Porter, that was a misuse." Opposing counsel opened their mouth, closed it. No questions. Kayla's hands gripped the table. "This is Ms. Porter," the judge said, voice clean as a level. "Do you dispute that you told Mr. Porter the wedding was yesterday while excluding him?" Kayla's mouth worked. "We wanted a small ceremony. He causes stress." "Is that your caption?" I asked, and nodded to the still without lifting it. Only special people were invited. Opposing snapped. "Argumentative." The judge waved it off. "Mr. Porter, keep to foundation." I did. "Your Honor, I'm not seeking hearts," I said, "just the court's eyes." "Court has them," she said. "Anything further?" I had one line I'd earned and only one. I brought a timeline. She brought a crop. Silence held long enough for the sentence to seat. The judge stacked her papers. "The court finds no basis to question Mr. Porter's capacity. The guardianship petition is denied. Motion to exclude is denied as stated. The court cautions petitioners against mischaracterizations in public forums." Kayla stood so fast her chair kissed the floor. Color drained from her face, then rushed back. Wrong. She turned toward me, not past me, at me. She swallowed, voice catching on the edge she'd built for me. "I'm sorry, Mr. Porter." The last word broke in the middle. She sat like someone had pulled the air out from under her. David didn't speak. He met my eyes and gave one small nod that said more than any sentence he's managed all year. The clerk tapped her pen. "Order reflects denial of petition. Parties are excused." I closed the envelope folder and slid it into my bag. The supplemental envelope, edited clip, still sealed, rested in my pocket. A small bird that never earned a song. I kept it there. Some things prove more by not being touched. At the rail, Kayla didn't try to catch my sleeve. Pastor put a steady hand on my shoulder and didn't squeeze. Marisol gave me a look that meant, "We can go back to counting parts now." Dana slipped out without theater. The judge moved to the next case like a bus right on time. I didn't bow. I didn't beam. I breathed. I don't need their warmth, just the room's oxygen and a fair clock. I stood, nodded once to the bench, and walked out with the supplemental envelope still unopened. The clerk slid the paper under the glass like a plate you don't want to chip. Certified order. Petition denied. The round court stamp sat in the corner, ink still a shade wet. "Anything else, Mr. Porter?" she asked. "That'll do," I said. Heart. Pulse. Justice doesn't hug you. It holds the door. I set the envelope folder on a bench, opened it clean, and tucked the certified order into the court stack with the header and stamp still visible when it closed. Then I walked to Riverview. Tessa looked up as I stepped into the management office. "Mr. Porter." I laid the order flat. I didn't tap it or clear my throat. Paper talks better if you don't rush it. She read the header, then the stamp, then met my eyes. Understood. Her hands were steady on the keyboard. "We'll rescind the notice on your profile." Carl came from the side stool. nodding like a man who'd rather fix a hinge than file a memo. "I'll remove your name from the front desk list." "Thank you," I said. Kayla didn't text. I didn't invite her to. Tessa turned the screen a fraction of an inch away. Privacy by habit. "All set. Access returns to normal. If anyone complains, they can talk to me." "A stamp outlasts a rumor," I said. She allowed herself half a smile. "Sometimes." I closed the folder without a fuss. "You'll have a better week," I said to Carl. "Me too," he said. At Maple Street, Deacon Silva was already standing, as if posture might count for restitution. Pastor sat at the small table with 2 cups of coffee and the look he saves for funerals and budgets. I placed the order where both could see the stamp without craning. The room breathed once. Deacon nodded first. "Mr. Porter, Hank, we'll reinstate you to the pantry rotation. Tuesday, 9 a.m. Slot is yours if you want it." "I want it," I said. Pastor reached for the page and then didn't. "I'll note the board," he said, "and I'll stand by the door Tuesday for anyone who needs the reminder." Deacon swallowed. "I should have handled the doorway better." "You should have used a sentence earlier," I said, "but we're done with that now." He slid a small brass key across the table, the kind with a new cut and an old weight. The cylinder was changed. "This is yours." I took it, felt the teeth, and put it in my pocket where it didn't bite. "Thank you." Pastor lifted his cup. "We'll count cans and not opinions." Outside, my phone rang. "David." "Dad," he said, breath already unsteady. "Can we?" "We can, when you're ready to speak for yourself," I said, "not for anyone else." A pause. Street noise. "Okay," he said. "Not today, but okay. I'll be at the pantry Tuesday," I said. "You know where to find me." He let out a small sound that might have been agreement, or just relief he didn't have to explain himself. I didn't chase the shape of it. Boundaries don't need narration. Back home, I took the brass key from my pocket and hung it on the wall hook where it used to sleep. Then I opened the folder, slid the certified order deeper into court, and let the cardboard close with that small, satisfied sigh. Shield back to tool. On my phone, I added one quiet square. Pantry, Tuesday 9 a.m. The tile sat there, blue and simple, the way a good plan should look. I washed a mug, listened to the fridge hum, and watched a bus brake whisper down the block. Systems working. No applause required. The phone screen still showed the square. I didn't tap it again. I didn't need to. I didn't win a parade. I won quiet. Patience and paper did what shouting never could, turning rumor into record. The wedding can stay in yesterday. My life keeps time. I hang the pantry key on its hook and listen for the small click. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you resonate with this story.